king decided to send a very learned Brahmin to find Purushottam Kshetra. He was actually the brother of the chief minister, and his name is Vidyapati. And he was a chief Brahmin at that, in that kingdom. Okay. So after a very long journey, it took him a few months, he finally got to this place of Nilachal, Purushottam Kshetra. But having got there, he couldn't find anything. Luckily, he came across a tribal chief called Vishwavasu. And Vishwavasu was actually the person who was worshipping this deity, but secretly, because he had heard a rumor that one day a king will come and stop his worship. So he kept his worship a secret. He had a daughter. Vidyapati, he stayed there for some time, trying to locate Nilammadhav, but the secret nature was so good that he couldn't find. And he married the daughter and he petitioned the daughter. Yet your father is worshipping this deity. Please ask him to take me to Nilammadhav. So she petitioned the father, and eventually, very reluctantly, Vishwavasu, they agreed to take Vidyapati to the temple. But he insisted, you will have to be blindfolded because I don't want you to know where this temple is. Vidyapati was very clever. He said, no problem. But he took with him a lot of mustard seeds. And as they were walking towards the temple, he would sprinkle mustard seeds along the path, knowing that in the future, these mustard seeds will turn into trees so that they can find where the temple is in the future. Nilammadhav had been worshipped by Vishwavasu for a very long time. And it was a very simple worship with flowers and fruits. But Vishwavasu would tell Vidyapati how he would see devatas, glorious devatas coming every day to opulently worship Nilammadhav with lots and lots of different delicious preparations, have lots of garlands, and they would dance in front of their lordships. But he himself was a very simple, he was a tribal man, he was a hunter. You could say he was not from a high caste, but the Lord loved his service, he accepted his service. However, the Lord also knew of the desire of King Indradumna. And the lordships, they spoke to Vishwavasu and they revealed his intention that they want to be worshipped by Indradumna. Vishwavasu was completely devastated. He loved the deity very, very much. So he didn't understand that, wow, the deity actually spoke to me. Isn't that incredible? But he was completely shocked that the deity didn't want his service anymore. So he blamed Vidyapati for persuading Nilammadhav to accept Indradumna Maharaj's worship. And he actually bound him up with ropes and wouldn't let him go. His daughter pleaded on behalf of Vidyapati. Please let him free. What good will this do? If the Lord wants this to happen, it will happen. You can't stop it. But what you're doing by tying my husband up is you're incurring terrible karma. And will you please the Lord by doing this? So the father understood. He freed him. Vidyapati returned back to the kingdom, to Avantipur, and he explained to Indradumna where he'd been. And Indradumna was absolutely amazed by this land, this place, this deity. And immediately he said to the whole kingdom, we are all going. Every single one of us, pack your bags. We are leaving Avantipur and we're going to Purushottam Kshetra. What an amazing king. So, and everybody was happy because they understood that this king is absolutely glorious. And he only wanted what's good for them. So they all packed their bags and they went towards Purushottam Kshetra. Took them a long time to get there. When they got there, eventually, they found their way to the temple because the trees, the mustard seed had grown into trees. So they located the temple. They found Nilamadhav. But when they opened the temple, there was no deity, had gone. And the king suspected that Vishvavasu must have removed the deity because he knew I was going to come and serve them. And out of desperation, he's moved them somewhere. So they caught Vishvavasu and they arrested him. At that time, however, the great sage Narad Muni appeared. Narad Muni is a very fortunate personality. And whoever he meets, he brings great fortune to. Whoever he meets, whoever he encounters, somehow or other, they become great devotees. Like Dhruv Maharaj, he met him on the way to the forest. He was a 5-year-old boy. And Narad Muni guided him. Prahlad Maharaj, similarly. Mugrali, so many. Narad Muni is one of the greatest sages. So he came and he revealed actually what happened to Nilamadhav. He said to the king Indradumna that Vishvavasu is not at fault. The Lord himself has decided to withdraw himself. And he caused a cyclone and he left this planet. But he's going to reappear in a form which will bestow benediction throughout the whole world, not just to Vishvavasu, but to everyone. This was really amazing news for Indradumna. But he was very sad that he never got the darshan of Nilamadhav. So Narad Muni also explained that the form of the deity will be a unique form. It will be in the form of Daru Brahman. Daru means wood, Brahman means representing the Supreme Lord. But first, Narad Muni explained that in the Indradumna Maharaj, you will have to build a grand temple. And you also should go and visit. We will arrange to visit Lord Brahma so that you can receive instructions on how to prepare for the appearance of Lord Jagannath. Temple was completed. Narad Muni, he escorted Indradumna Maharaj to Satyalok in the upper planetary system, the highest planet in our world, the home of Lord Brahma, which is normally inaccessible to human beings. But even Lord Brahma was impressed with Indradumna's devotion to Lord, and he wanted to meet him as well. So Lord Brahma explained to him that the Lord will soon appear, and this is going to be a unique form from a great Kalpavriksha tree coming straight from the spiritual world, Shvetadweep. And he advised him, in order to become eligible to receive the mercy of the Lord, you'll have to perform sacrifices, tapasya, 1,000 yagyas, Ashwamedha yagyas. He only spent a short time with Lord Brahma. But Lord Brahma's time, compared to our time, his few minutes is hundreds of years for us. So when Indradumna returned back to Earth, he found out everybody he knew had left the planet. In fact, 2 kings had come and gone. And things had changed. But he still was resolute in his determination to bring the Lord down. And even he faced some opposition because the current kings at that time laid their claim to the temple. But anyway, and some things happened which made them realize that the kings were lying, and this is in the Dumna's temple. He arranged it for the appearance of the Lord. Anyway, despite all of this hardship, because nobody that he was close to was no longer present, he continued with his tapasya of making sure the Lord appears. He was determined. He decided he was going to fast. He laid out some kusha grass. He sat on the grass. He was determined. Even if I have to fast till death, it doesn't matter. I will make myself eligible for the Lord to appear, show his mercy. And at the same time, he performed his yagyas. And this is a little example of King Indradumna performing yagyas. So after doing the 1000th yagya, actually Lord Mahavishnu and Lakshmi appeared in a dream to him. And they guided him to a giant log that's floating in the ocean. This was no ordinary tree. It was a giant log. It had come from the spiritual world. And no matter how hard they tried, the army could not budge it.
Yeah, and the residents there actually came and said, there's this really fragrant fragrance coming from the sea. Come and have a look. And that's how they located that log. And yeah, no one could budge it.
Eventually, Indradumna was guided actually to a descendant of Vishwavasu who came, and he was a tribal man. He stepped out from the crowd. He just picked up the huge log with ease, and he carried it to the Gundicha temple for preparation.
You said Gundicha is the name of Indradumna's wife.
Who's Indradumna's wife? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. So yeah, the Gundicha temple gets its name from the wife of Indradumna.
Okay. Learn something every day. I learned a lot actually doing this, I must admit. She's obviously learned more. The greatest craftsmen came all around the world to carve the deity. But as soon as they touched the deity, their tools would just shatter to pieces. Then actually a mysterious old Brahmin appeared. He called himself Ananta Maharana. But actually he's Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods. And he agreed to carve the deity on the condition that nobody should disturb him for 3 weeks. He has to do his work nicely without being disturbed. So they locked the gates, the doors. They could hear the chisel going for days and days. But after 2 weeks, everything stopped. Indradumna was thinking, oh, this Brahmin is an old man. I wonder what's happened. Maybe he's left his body. Everybody told him, don't open the door. But the king, he was so concerned. For a few days, he decided to have a look, open the doors. And he saw unfinished deities. And he was a little shocked, and he was very sad. Actually, he was thinking, this deity, this form of the Lord has no hands or feet. And it feared that he made such a big offense in opening the door so early. And the aged sculptor, where is he? Can't be seen anywhere. Disappeared. So he felt very ashamed of himself. But at that time, again, Narad Muni very kindly appeared. And he revealed to Indradumna that, don't worry, this is not your fault. This is actually the greatest mercy of the Lord.
So just one thing I forgot to mention, that when they found that log, actually, that is the actual Snan Yatra as said by Narad Muni, because the log is actually being bathed for the first time before it was even made into the forms of the lords.
Very good point. And then Snan Yatra is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So actually that Snan Yatra is in relation to the original first Snan Yatra when the log came into the ocean and was bathed by the waters of the ocean. So Narad Muni explained, I've seen this form before in Dwarka. Really? So this is what he saw. Of course, they weren't painted at that time, but he would have seen forms, paintless, unpainted forms of the Lord like this, and he would have been very shocked. My dear Lord, what have I done? I've opened the door too early. Anyway, Narad Muni, he explained to the king, in Dwarka, I was there one time, and the residents in Dwarka, their mood is of Ashwarya. They worship the Lord in a formal capacity, somewhat. Not as formal as Vaikuntha, but the residents of Vrindavan, they worship the Lord in a mood of sweetness. Madhurya Ras is prominent, and every other Ras is to enhance the Madhurya Ras. So they have a very confidential relationship between the Lord, with the Lord. And the queens in Dwarka, they always were wondering, what is so special about Vrindavan and the Brijvasis, that even when Krishna is with them, the queens, and with all the opulence and the children and the palaces, still his mind is somewhere else. He's thinking of somebody else. And sometimes, like Satyabhama would say to the other queens, that in the middle of the night he'll be shouting out the name of Radha, calling out Radha, Radha. But there's so much opulence we have. We have everything in Dwarka. The queens, there's 16,000 queens. We have opulent palaces, we have wonderful children. So much delicious prasad. But when we serve him prasad, he's hankering for Mother Yashoda's khichdi. Or makan. Sorry, yeah, makan. So they actually asked Rohini, because Rohini has lived in Vrindavan with Krishna. And they asked Rohini one time, what is so special about Vrindavan? So Rohini said, what I'm going to tell you is very confidential. Nobody should hear, especially Krishna and Balaram shouldn't hear. Why? Because if they hear these pastimes, they'll run away to Vrindavan, because I'll remind them of those days. You won't see them again. So they said to Subhadra, go and stand at the door and make sure nobody comes in. Nobody's hearing what's happening. Anyway, so Rohini started to explain how in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes and Balaram's were so sweet, so gentle, so loving. And when they left, and she described some of the pastimes, the glorious, glorious pastimes. And she explained how when they left, there were oceans of tears, great separation between Krishna and the devotees. Krishna and Balaram were outside listening. And when they were hearing these pastimes, they felt great ecstasy. And their eyes dilated.
Became bigger.
Yeah.
Dilated.
Dilated. They became huge, as if, wow, they had been reminded of the Brijvasis again. And they were standing on either side of Subhadra, on the left and right, as they do now when we see them on the altar. And Subhadra was looking at Krishna and looking at Balaram, and she also, her limbs withdrew into her body. Krishna and Balaram's limbs withdrew, but not completely. And the legs also withdrew, and they were in complete ecstasy. They were happy, but also there were huge tears coming because they were feeling the separation from Vrindavan. So now, this was all because they were listening to Rohini's description, and they were actually in ecstasy. This is the ecstatic form of Krishna, as Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. So, what happened then? Narad Muni actually came in that moment. But before we go to that, just a little explanation. Krishna's birthday, of course, is August, September, in the month of Bhadra, when we celebrate Sri Krishna Janmashtami. But according to the Skanda Purana, the Jeshta Purnima, i.e. tomorrow, full moon day of the month of May, June, is actually the birth of Jagannath. A bit of a contradiction, because Krishna and Jagannath are the same person. But it's understood that when Krishna appeared in the form of Jagannath with big dilated eyes, shrunken limbs, this is his like Mahabhav Prakash, the ecstatic form of Krishna. Mahabhav means the highest ecstasy, and Prakash means manifestation. So Jagannath is literally the highest manifestation of Krishna, static form of Krishna. So this is when we look at Jagannath, we're seeing Krishna in his happiest form, most amazing form. He's the embodiment of Krishna's pang of separation from residents of Vrindavan, particularly Radha and Krishna. This is the essence of Yashoda, Radha and Yashoda, because he's missing them so much. So when we see Jagannath, we're seeing him in this ecstatic form where he's remembering those sweet pastimes he had in Vrindavan with Radha and Yashoda. So Narad Muni, he witnessed this. As soon as Krishna saw Narad Muni, he immediately came back to his original form, two-handed, legs back again, Balaram same, Subhadra same. And Narad Muni said, I saw your form. What did you see? I saw how your arms came inside and your legs withdrew and your eyes were huge. I'd like to see that form again. Krishna said, okay, what do I have to do to make sure that, if I do that, what do I get in return? And Krishna says, Narad Muni said, well, I want you to show this form to everybody. So Narad Muni actually requested the Lord, please appear like this for everybody's benefit. And the Lord is very kind. He's not obliged to anybody. He can't be forced to do anything. He can't be blackmailed to do anything. But he reciprocates with his devotees to fulfill their desires. In the Garga Samhita it says, I am full. Atma Rama, he says, all the epics in one. Yet I surrender to the wish of my devotee and come in whatever form he wants. So just as Krishna appeared as Nilamadhav to satisfy Vishwavasu, he appeared in the deity form as Jagannath and resides in Jagannath Puri to satisfy the desires of Narad Muni. Since Krishna is not different from his body, his internal feeling showed externally, and he assumed the form of Jagannath. So there's a passage actually in the Vedas that describes that the Lord has no hands or feet. So some people assume that that means literally the Lord has no hands, no feet. Actually, or no form, yeah. But actually, it means that the Lord has no material hands, no material feet, or material form. He has a spiritual body. So it explains that this Jagannath's appearance proves that he's a person, unlike any other person. And he can still bestow blessings and accept offerings of love, even without hands and feet. In fact, the two hands are like almost like welcoming us back into the bosom of his love, you know.
And his big eyes are looking at us.
Yeah, that's right. So then Narad Muni explained to the king that Krishna actually has fulfilled his promise to me and come in this incredible form, ecstatic form. And he made an announcement. And the king was ecstatic. He was really happy. And he was very thankful to Narad Muni for explaining all this. Because before this, he was so sad, thinking he'd offended the Lord. So Narad Muni made an announcement that Lord Brahma will arrive very soon to install the deity. And the chief priest of the king in the Dumna, he also said, let's get prepared. Let's paint these beautiful deities, these forms, and let's get them dressed. Let's get them ready for the installation ceremony. So, oh my Lord. So we haven't started yet the Snan Yatra, but anyway, ceremony, yeah. Anyway, let's just do a few more minutes and then we can continue tomorrow, because actually tomorrow is the day of Snan Yatra anyway. So we wanted to share with the devotees what actually happens in Jagannath Puri tomorrow. Now, I understand that the temple is going to do Snan Yatra in the Puri. What, explain that?
Yeah, so basically the temple authorities and the king there, the current king, have requested that they should follow all the ceremonies as per normal. And they've requested the government not to allow any devotees to come in to this area at all, and the police as well. So basically, the ceremony tomorrow's ceremony will be done by just the actual pandas and who usually do this. Even people from the Puri town will not be able to go and witness anything. Everything hopefully will be shown on social media and the television. So devotees will be able to participate that way. And then also Rath Yatra, they have requested no tourists to be able to come in. So they're going to stop all modes of transport, like trains and things like that. And Grand Road in front of the temple will be blocked off completely from everyone. But again, it will be broadcast on social media and television.
It said in the scriptures that one who hears or describes this pastime, it will be the last birth. So if we hear, we see, if we try to log on, India's Bharat is 4.5 hours ahead. And this ceremony, Snan Yatra, usually takes place early, not too early, about 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because they start after Mangalati, and then Mangalati is usually just 6 o'clock in the morning, I think.
Right.
So if devotees, hopefully it should be on YouTube later anyway, but if you want to watch it live, maybe a little earlier. No.
So this, for those devotees who haven't been there, now I know Sam has been there, and Priti has been there, and I'm sure Madhu Sudan Prabhu will have been there, and Mangala will have definitely been there. Karuna Bandar. So if any of your devotees would like to say anything, I'll be really happy for you to do so. And I think we're going to run out of time today, but tomorrow definitely I'd like you to share your pastime, what you've, especially Sam, because Sam has had the incredible privilege of having darshan of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra in the temple. And I wanted to hear that actually.
Yeah, I'd like to hear how you got in there. Because we have managed to actually take Avdesh once when he was.
Indeed.
Do you want to share it now?
Do they have time to listen to?
Let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
Let's do it tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. So I'll just say a little bit about, just give an idea of what it looks like, and then we can discuss it a little bit more tomorrow, isn't it? Okay. So this is the main Shikhar, the temple there, These are all gates
It's
leading.
the main gate.
This is the main gate. Yeah.
And these are shops.
These shops here,
Which have gone now.
which are no longer there
Yeah.
because of coronavirus.
No, they opened it all up now.
Yeah, they've opened it because of corona. No?
No, they've
Was it
demolished it.
Yeah,
Remember when
yeah.
we went just
Yeah.
now?
Oh,
They've
okay.
demolished it.
That's right. So this is a little bit closer look, and then a little bit more closer look, and then a little bit more closer look. It said, even if you have version of the chakra and the flag, that is enough to take you back to Godhead. So many times devotees, you will see them, as soon as they have vision of the chakra, they'll fall down flat on the ground, paying obeisances. And this is a really close look at the chakra.
So they're changing the flag.
This is the changing of the flags, which happens every single day.
At about 5, just before 5 p.m.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Actually, we'll start tomorrow. We'll start this tomorrow. Are there any questions up to this point? Any questions or any comments, any realizations, anything that you'd like to share? I'm very happy for you to speak and comment.
Has anyone been for Snan Yatra?
Oh, yeah.
Jagannath Puri.
No? Okay. So let's do the Nrsimha phrase.
Hi Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
I just wanted to share with you.
Yes.
We've got one of the flag of Jagannath Puri's temple.
You got a flag. Wow.
Brilliant.
And have you got, like, you mean the huge flag that's on top
Yes.
of the chakra? Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. How did you get that?
That's a long, long story.
Okay, you can tell us tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to hear devotees actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And this last trip, actually, I managed to get the other, the smaller flags that they have
Sure.
going along.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just show you. It's a really nice thing.
Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Nrsimha kavacham vakshe, Prahladena ditam pura, Sarvarakshaakaram punyam, Sarvopadravanashanam, Sarvasampatkaram chaiva, Swargamoksha pradayakam, Dyadva Nrsimham devesham, Hemasimhasanastitam, Vivritashyam trinayanam, Sharadindushamaprabham, Lakshmyalingitamamangam, Vibhutivirupashritam, Chaturbhujam komalangam, Swarnakundalashobitam, Shriyasushoभितोरस्कं रत्नकेयूरमुद्रितं तप्तकाञ्चनशङ्काशं पीतनिर्मलवाससं इन्द्रादीशुरमौलिष्ठसुरन्माणिक्यदीप्तिभिः विराजितपदद्वन्द्वं शङ्खचक्रादिहेतिभिः गुरुर्मत्ता च विनयात् स्तूयमानं मुदान्वितं स्वरितकमलसंवासं कृत्वा तु कवचं पतेत् नरसिंहो मे शिरः पातु लोकरक्षात् सम्भव सर्वगोपी स्तम्भवास फलं निरक्षतु ध्वनिं नरसिंहो मे दिशो पातु सोमसूर्याग्निलोचन स्मृतं मे पातु नरहरि मुनिवार्यस्तुतिप्रिय नासं मे सिंहनाशस्तु मुखं लक्ष्मीमुखाप्रिय सर्वविद्यादिपापातो नरसिंहो रसनां मम वक्त्रं पाल्बिन्दुवनरं सदा प्रह्लादवन्दित नरसिंह पातु मे कण्ठं स्कन्धो भूभरनां तपित् दिव्यास्त्रशोभितो भुजो नरसिंह पातु मे भुजौ करौ मे देवा वरदो नरसिंह पातु सर्वथा हृदयं योगी साध्याश्च निवासं पातु मे हरि मद्यं पातु हिरण्याक्ष वक्षा कुक्षि विदारणा नाभिं मे पातु नरहरि स्वनाभि ब्रह्म संस्तुतः ब्रह्मादकोतया कथ्यां यास्यस्यो पातु मे कतिं भूयं मे पातु भूयानां मन्त्राणां भूयरूपति गुरुमनो भव पातु जाह्नवी नररूपधृक् जाङ्के पातु धराभारा हर्ता योऽसौ निकेशरी दूरराजप्रद पातु न पादौ मे नरहेश्वर सहस्रशेषा पुरुषा पातु मे सर्वसस्तनु महोग्रह पूर्वतः पातु महावीरागजोनिता महाविष्णु दक्षिणे तु महाज्वालस्तु नैऋतौ पश्चिमे पातु सर्वेषु दिशि मे सर्वतोमुखा नरसिंह पातु वायाव्यां सौम्यं भीषणविग्रहः ईशान्यां